All right, let's talk about the AP Calculus AB exam. If you're getting ready to take it, you already know it's a pretty big deal. But here's the good news. We're going to break it all down for you. We're going to give you a solid game plan to walk in there feeling confident. So let's get right into it. First things first, let's just be real about it. This exam is tough. Magoosh puts it perfectly. It is no walk in the park. The problems can be tricky, and it's super easy to make tiny mistakes. So yeah, if you've been feeling the heat, you're not alone. This thing is genuinely challenging. But, and this is the most important part, it is a challenge you can absolutely conquer. Seriously, with the right prep, knowing the key concepts inside and out, and being aware of the common pitfalls, you can totally do this. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. We're going to build your game plan, step by step. From the test structure to the silliest, most common mistakes, we've got you covered. This is your roadmap to a great score. Okay, first up, we have to understand the exam itself. Know the battlefield. Before you can win, you've got to know the rules of the game, the timing, and the format. This is step one. So here it is, the full breakdown. The whole exam is 3 hours and 15 minutes long. It's split into two main sections, multiple choice and free response. And as you can see, both of those sections are split again into a calculator part and a no calculator part. Now look closely at the timing. For the first part of the multiple choice, you get about 2 minutes a question. But for the second part, you get 3 minutes per question. That difference is huge, and it's a key part of your pacing strategy. You've got to practice with that in mind. Now check this out. This is so important for your strategy. The multiple choice section and the free response section are each worth exactly 50% of your total score. What does that mean? It means you have to be solid on both. You can't just be a multiple choice whiz and bomb the free response or vice versa. They're equally important. And here's a little logistical detail you need to be ready for. It's a hybrid exam. You'll be doing the multiple choice section on a computer, but for the free response questions, you'll be writing your answers out by hand in a paper booklet. So you've got to be comfortable switching between typing and clicking and writing everything out clearly. All right, we know the format. Now let's talk about what you actually need to know. There are some core ideas, some theorems and rules that you just have to have locked down. Think of these as the essential tools in your calculus toolkit. Let's start with a big one, the mean value theorem. All it's really saying is that if you have a nice smooth curve, there's got to be at least one point somewhere in the middle where your instantaneous speed is the exact same as your average speed over the whole trip. And this picture shows it perfectly. See that red line connecting the two endpoints? That's your average rate of change. The mean value theorem promises that somewhere in between, at that point C, the slope of the curve, your instantaneous rate of change, is exactly the same. Notice how the tangent line there is perfectly parallel to the red line? That's the theorem, right there in a picture. And now for the superstar of the entire course, the fundamental theorem of calculus. This is the whole ballgame. It's the massive idea that connects derivatives and integrals, showing they're basically opposites. It's the reason you can find the area under a curve. You just can't do calculus without it. And finally, these are your non-negotiables. These rules need to be absolute muscle memory. Power rule, product rule, quotient rule, chain rule, your basic trig derivatives, and L'Hopital's rule, you've got to know them so well you don't even have to think about them. They're going to be everywhere. Okay, knowing the rules is half the battle. The other half, not falling for the common traps that get so many students. Let's talk about how to dodge those easy-to-make mistakes. So let's play a quick game. You're working on a problem. You need to find an indefinite integral. You do all the hard work. You find the antiderivative. You write down your answer. But what's the one tiny thing that students forget, costing them points year after year? This guy. The plus c, the constant of integration. Every single time you find an indefinite integral, you have to add plus c at the end. It is maybe the most common and most avoidable mistake on the whole test. Burn it into your brain. Here is another absolute classic trap. It looks like simple algebra, but it pops up in calculus all the time. When you subtract one function from another, you have to subtract the entire thing. Look on the left. If you forget the parentheses, you get the sign wrong. On the right, you see you have to use parentheses and distribute that negative sign to every single term. It completely changes the answer. And here are a few more rapid-fire tips. First, for the free response section, you must show your work. A correct answer with nothing to back it up gets you 0 points. Zip! Second, don't scribble out your work. Even if you think it's wrong, a grader might be able to give you partial credit for it. And third, Please remember, average velocity is not just adding two velocities and dividing by 2. It's the total change in position divided by the total change in time. Okay, let's wrap this up by talking about the practical stuff, your calculator and what you absolutely need to have with you on exam day. Now, this is a huge piece of strategy. You have to show your work for almost everything, right? Well, there's an exception. There are exactly 4 things your calculator can do where the College Board says you don't have to show any setup, you just need the answer. And here they are. These are your 4 magic calculator-free passes. You can graph something, find where it hits 0, calculate the value of a derivative at a single point, and calculate a definite integral. For these 4 tasks, and only these 4, you can just punch it into your calculator and write down the answer. Knowing this can save you a ton of time. And a very, very important rule. You have to use a physical, College Board approved graphing calculator. I know a lot of you use amazing online tools like Desmos to learn, but it is 100% not allowed in the exam. You have to practice on the same calculator you're gonna use on test day. And finally, to make your exam day as stress-free as possible, get your gear ready the night before. You'll need your ID, a pen with blue or black ink for the free response, a couple of good old-fashioned number 2 pencils, your approved calculator, and a simple watch. Just make sure all the alarms are off. So there you have it. That's the roadmap. You know the structure, you know the key concepts you need in your toolkit, you know the common traps to avoid, and you know the rules for your gear. The game plan is right here. The only question left is, are you ready to start the journey and master this thing?